character first, I'm talking about the very first character that made a profound impression upon you that for some reason when you were younger you couldn't quite identify, but that you can go on about at length when you got older. I'm talking about a character in a video game or a comic book or a movie, something that said something to you so profound at the moment of their discovery. For Whoopi Goldberg, it was Nyota Uhura on Star Trek, who she actually saw as pretty darn special because, to paraphrase her, here was a black woman on 60s American TV who was not a maid. For me, it was Eliza Maza, a biracial woman of color with a Native American father and a black mother. She was a New York detective, resourceful, brave, and had a growing romance with the lead of the Gargoyle clan, Goliath, that over the course of the 2 seasons the show was on TV. She went on many adventures, fought many a foe, and used her wits and intelligence to solve problems that her displaced time friends couldn't handle. She was loved, cherished, cared for, protected, and was simply just an awesome character. At the time, I didn't realize how important a character she was to people of color, how vital representation and seeing yourself in a media landscape filled with whiteness was. All I knew was that she was an ass kicker and a name taker, and only later learned how nuanced this show was for being a cartoon from Disney in 1991. We don't talk about the Goliath Chronicles, though. No, we don't. We don't discuss the Marvel comic either. Shh. Those don't exist. Why do I bring this up? Because it cannot be repeated enough just how important a diverse media can be to people, as well as to highlight how some TV shows have not only missed this message, but have used it to bait people and then regress. Of course, everyone knows by now about the death by stray bullet that Lexa received in the 100. Another example in baiting lesbians and anyone else interested in a diverse, progressive show. But what also feels very disappointing is the death of one Abby Mills from Sleepy Hollow. Both examples speak of a tone deafness in the writing room as to how to handle characters that are not straight, white, cisgendered, able-bodied, and male. And the responses from some of the fans of these shows speak of an ignorance about those who cry foul over such wasteful, ignorant writing. I've gone on at length before about how white fangirls were dismissive of Abby Mills as one of the 2 central leads in Sleepy Hollow, of the very obvious chemistry that she and Tom Meissen shared from episode 1, and the multiple love interests she had in fellow co-stars John Cho and Nicholas Gonzalez. After all, if a black woman has multiple love interests, that's just unreal. Now, if a white woman has multiple love interests, we call that the Twilight Saga. What's sad is that it appears their interests were taken to heart by the new showrunner, Clifton Campbell, who took over at the start of the 2nd season. Not only did we lose Orlando Jones as the amazing Captain Frank Irving, who was also instrumental in developing a rapport with the fans via social media, but Abby Mills was shifted more and more to the side. Nicole Beharie wasn't invited to the 2nd season DVD commentary, which Fox said was just a massive part of miscommunication. Her character and that of Tom Meissen's never grew beyond just close friends. And as the series progressed, she became less a leading co-star and more a supporting role. And then she was killed off. That's right, the oldest of tropes. A woman was killed off in order to further the development of a white man. You've fallen a hell of a long way, Sleepy Hollow. But we still have Katrina. Oh, fuck it. This, along with so many other examples before it, remind me that black women are only allowed one role by white feminism and white fangirls. I call it the 3 S's. Single, because black women should never need a man, and thus be without love, affection, and care throughout her life, as those weaken her standing as a woman without any other identity. Strong because black women feel no pain, be it emotional, mental, or physical, and they could easily beat Hercules in a bench pressing contest. And sassy because, well, gay white men have a black woman inside of them that gives them their strength and independence and attitude. Look, sorry, I really have no idea what sassy is supposed to mean, because every time someone explains it to me, it's just someone that does not want to take any of your BS. But it's almost always described to black women. You never hear any other white characters being described as sassy. You wouldn't call Supergirl sassy. That's not an invitation for you to start doing that either. Please don't. And as for the 100, well, they seem to have taken a note out of Once Upon a Time's playbook and how to regard their LGBTQ fans. They baited them along with the promise of a happy relationship between Lexa and Clark, only to cruelly take it away minutes after the two finally got together via bullet to the chest of Lexa that had been meant for Clark. As someone on Tumblr once put it, there appears to be this thought process that once gay characters get together, that is the culmination of their character development. There is nowhere else for them to grow or develop, and thus it calls for death. It certainly didn't help that a week later, Denise, a lesbian character on The Walking Dead, received an arrow through the head that had actually been meant for the redhead character Abraham, and one that he received in the comics. What both series have in common is the commentary from some of the fans, most of whom I imagine are not even gay themselves, that say that these worlds are harsh and unforgiving, where life is cheap and you're only as strong as your gun and sword arm. What these same fans also forget to mention is that these are fictional worlds that are at the whims of the writers, and thus every writing decision is a conscious decision put into them. It was unfairly, terribly cruel to lesbians to have Lexa and Clark come together in this one moment of happiness, and then to have their future snatched away from them, shredded, and the rags pissed on by the showrunner. And no, I don't care that Alicia Denham Carey was leaving the show in order to go film Fear the Walking Dead. They could have come out with any number of other exits for her character that weren't halfway as cruel or unforgiving as the one she received. And you know what else? They've done that for male characters, giving them these wonderful exits that would allow them to come back if they so choose. For example, David Duchovny's character on The X-Files was fired when he left. Angel Buffy? Why, he left town to go film his own series. Steve Carell left The Office in such a way as to come back easily. Oh, and even Gillian Anderson, who was pregnant on the first season of The X-Files, was written as such to keep her included in the story. David Carter had her character working in a lab, wearing big frumpy clothes to hide her pregnancy. And when it came time, she was kidnapped and later returned. So if they could do that in the 90s with all those characters, they could have given Lexa a better exit. Of course, in light of the deaths of these characters, I'm feeling concerned growing for another pair of characters, both of whom are black women, and both of whom have or will have romances with their leading white male co-stars. I'm talking about, of course, Michonne of The Walking Dead and Iris West of The Flash. After all, Nicole Beharie was a lead in Sleepy Hollow, and she was part of the reason why the show became so damn popular. And look what they did to her in order to push a white woman. And Iris West has the backing of the comics, where she and Barry Allen are endgame. And the Rick Michonne ship has been one that fans have happily sailed on since the third season. Well, personally, I'm not a fan of that ship. I cannot forgive nor forget that Rick was going to sell Michonne to the governor in exchange for safety. I was always more a fan of Daryl and Michonne myself. Their babies would have been invincible. Be that as it may, I'm truly saddened for the treatment that Nicole Beharie received from this show. How she was belittled, disrespected, and shoved aside for a white actress. And while there is talk of a season 4, I won't be tuning in. I had actually stopped after the first season because I heard some rather disturbing things about the second season, and I was waiting for it to get better. But it never did, much like Once Upon a Time, which I just learned on Tumblr killed off Mulan and Ruby after the showrunners promised a lesbian relationship. Fucking hell. And let's give a quick shout out to Art and Cho, who gave up 6 years of their life for Teen Wolf and got almost jack shit out of it. I'm Triple J. That's all I got left to say. Take care.